Welcome! This training module is on how to add contacts in Energov. We'll cover a number of topics to include how to create contacts like company contacts, individual contacts, and subcontacts, managing contractor certifications, associating ownership based on assessor information, and we'll leave you with a few key tips you'll want to keep in mind whenever you do add contacts in Energov in the future. So let's get started. First, you'll want to log into the system using your own login credentials. Once you've typed in your username and password, click Log On, and this will go ahead and log you into the system. It'll bring you to the main dashboard page, and from here, you'll want to click on Recent Cases from the top menu. Then, select the one you want from the drop-down list. To open it, simply click on the folder icon next to its name, and that'll open that permit up and it's in the new window. Once the permit is open, you'll want to go to the Contacts tab, which is located in the center of your screen, and from here you'll be able to see all the contacts associated with the permit. To add a new contact, simply click Add Contact on the right-hand side of the screen to bring up the contact search form. We start with a search form because you want to always search the system to see if a contact already exists before you add a new contact to the system. This is in place in order to eliminate duplicate contact records in the system. To search for an individual, simply add into the first and last name fields the information you're looking for. Remember to use all caps and then click Search. This is going to return all the records in the system that match your search criteria. If the contact you're looking for already exists, they'll show up in that list, and all you have to do is select them from the results list and click on the folder icon next to the name to add that contact to the current permit. Next, you'll want to select the contact type from the drop-down box. Indicate whether it's an applicant, a contractor, or some other type. Please note, if you select contractor, they will need to have their certifications already on file in the system. Otherwise, it won't let you continue. There will be more on this later on in the video. Now let's say you want to add a company contact. Again, click Add Contact to go back to the contact search page. In this instance, type the company's name in all caps into the company name field, and then click Search. You may want to be more or less specific in your search criteria in order to get the best results. Once you've clicked Search, if no search results are returned, that means the contact doesn't exist in the system. In order to add them, simply click Add New Contact to take you to the New Contact form. Here, the company name should already be pre-populated from your search. You'll want to make sure that you choose whether this contact is a company or not. Since this is a company, you'll check the box at the top next to Company. If it is not a company, you would check the Contact box. Next, fill in as much information as you can about the company in the fields, remembering that this is a company contact and as such will not have any first name or last name associated with it, nor use any personal information, only contact-specific information. You have to choose a contact preference for each contact. This is a required field. If you select an email address, it will require you to provide a company email address. Remember to input all data in these fields in all caps. If you choose an address field instead of email, then an address will be required. Whichever you choose, it will show that something is required next to the Save button, and it won't allow you to proceed until that information is populated. When adding a Carlsbad address, the first thing you must do is search for the address because all addresses in Carlsbad are already in the system. First, enter a street number and then the street name and click Search. Once the address is found, click on the folder icon to use it. It will auto-populate the address field. From here, select what type of address it is. The main contact address should be a mailing address. We need to have at least one mailing address for each contact, and you can add multiple addresses. Once you've added it, scroll down to the bottom and check the box next to Main. The system does require at least one address to be marked as main. The mailing address should be that address. The main address is the one that's used by all forms and reports generated by the system. You can repeat this process for any address within the city of Carlsbad. However, if you'd like to add a non-Carlsbad address, instead of searching, you simply add the address. From the contact screen, click Add Address at the bottom to bring up the new address form. This form uses address validation tools. Once you start typing the address into the address field, it should autofill and give you a drop-down with a number of different options. From the list of options it brings up, simply select the correct address and it should autofill the form. Depending on the speed of your connection, this could take a moment, so just be patient while it finds that information and auto-populates all the fields. Once all the fields are populated, add and verify any additional information, and don't forget to scroll all the way down to the bottom and check the box next to Main if this is going to be the contact's primary address. Energov distinguishes between companies and contacts. Companies only have specific company information, though they can have subcontacts, which are individuals with first and last names, personal emails, and the like. Company subcontacts can be reached by clicking on the Subcontacts tab, and it takes you to the Subcontact screen, where you can click Add Subcontact to bring up a new contact form. For these, you'll need to mark them as a contact and not a company. When adding subcontacts, it's a best practice to copy the full company name from the contact details page and then paste it into the search contact form in the company name space. Then type in the first and last name and remember to search existing contacts first in the system so we can avoid any duplicates. A single contact or subcontact can be associated with multiple companies in the system. Once you've performed your search, if nothing shows up in the search results, then you can simply go ahead and proceed to add the subcontact as we demonstrated previously. When you click the Add a Contact button, it will bring you to the subcontact details page, where the company name, first name, and last name will be pre-populated from the search form. For subcontacts, any contact information is acceptable. You don't have to have a mailing address, a simple email address will suffice. Note, when you're adding in the contact's information, if they happen to have a suffix like junior, senior, or the third, that information should go after the last name in the last name field. Once you've added all the information, click Save to proceed. If the system finds an existing contact with any information that matches any of the information you just put in, it will bring up a warning box. From here, you can decide whether it is referring to an existing contact or not. If so, click the contact from the drop-down list in order to proceed, then update the information of the selected contact. If it is not, you can still add the new contact. Either way, click OK to continue with your selection. Then click Save again in order to save the subcontact's details. As you can see, the company now has a subcontact listed on the Subcontacts tab. Click Save again in order to return to the company contacts listing. Here you can see the company with the subcontact that you just added listed as one of the associated contacts on this permit. Remember to click the drop-down list for the contact type and select the appropriate contact type, then save it again in order to update the permit with this new contact. Earlier we saw how contractors require certifications before they can be added to a permit. From the permit page, click Add Contact and search for the contractor you want to add a certification or license to. When you find it, click on the icon to the left of the contractor's name and add them to the permit. Back on the permits page, select the contact type Contractor. This will bring up a notification box telling you that certifications are required for this contractor. So you'll need to click on the folder icon to the left of the contractor's name to open up their contact record. Then click on Certifications on the left side of the screen to see and/or add certifications. Click Add New Certificate to add one to the selected company. Certificates include licenses, insurance, permits, etc. Select the type of certification you're interested in adding, and then enter whatever information is required. After saving that information, the certificate should show up under that contact's certifications list. Let's say you wanted to choose a different contractor, one that already had their certificates. Type in the contractor's name and perform a search. From the list of available contractors, select the one you're interested in and open it using the folder icon. Once it's added to the list of associated contacts, click on its folder to open its record. and then click on Certifications, and here you can see they already have their certifications on file. Now you can select the contact type contractor from the drop-down list without getting a warning message. Instead, you should see a pop-up screen listing their contractor's license information. Once you've verified that everything looks good to go, simply click the X to get out of the pop-up. Then click Save to save all of your changes. Next, let's talk about associating ownership based on a company's address. From the address screen, you'll want to search for an address for a parcel. You'll be searching the assessor information for that particular piece of land. From the search screen, enter the address you're interested in looking up, and then click Search. From the search results, select the correct address and click on the folder icon next to it to open it. This will search assessor records for that address and return ownership information on file for that particular parcel. From here, you'll want to copy the assessor information to the owner information fields below. If the parcel's owner is a trust, use the word trust as the first name for the owner information field. Then copy the entire ownership information from the assessor line to the last name field so that it includes all that information as the last name. Next, you want to transpose the address information from the assessor line to the ownership address areas. Each of those fields needs to be populated separately. When copying, make sure you don't get any extra spaces because that throws things off. And use the drop-down box for street type and for state in order to make sure that things match with the way the system wants the information put in. Everything should be in all caps, and all information needs to be copied exactly as it shows on the assessor information. Once you've transposed all the information from above, make sure you choose the contact preference as mailing and go ahead and click Save. If you happen to have missed any information, it'll bring up a warning message allowing you to go back and fix it. In this case, we failed to indicate the address type. Mark it as mailing, then click Save, and you should be good to go. It will bring up a confirmation message making sure that you do actually want to add this ownership information. Click OK to proceed. Now, if you're actually dealing with a co-ownership case instead of a trust, you'll be able to tell because the assessor information should have an ampersand in the name. So you go in and you do the search of the address, you find the address, and in the assessor information you should see an ampersand. In this case, for co-ownership, first name should be co-owner, and again you'll copy the entire line to the last name field. You'll also want to continue going and copying all of the address information as it shows on the assessor information to the individual lines on the ownership address fields, using the appropriate drop-down boxes and making sure everything is in all caps. You can either copy and paste, or you can just type that information in as it shows above. It's important to note that sometimes the assessor information does not include the city or state and only lists the zip code. In those instances, simply copy the zip code and do a Google search to find the city and state. Once you have all the information, transcribe all the fields back to the owner address fields so that the record will be complete. Once you've done this, again, you'll want to make sure that you select the address type as mailing and the contact preference type as address, and then click Save to add this information. Here again, it'll ask you to confirm you actually do want to add the ownership information. Click OK, and that will show up on your contacts page as a new contact. Make sure you use the drop-down box to choose the correct contact type. Once you've done that, click Save to update your permit with this information. This concludes our tutorial on how to add contacts in Energov. Let's leave you with a few key tips. When you're adding contacts, make sure you search for existing contacts before you add new ones in order to avoid duplicates in the system. When adding contacts, use all capital letters when inputting data into the system, so everything in the system is uniform. Don't use special characters like the @, exclamation point, ampersands, those types of things. Avoid extra spaces after words, especially if you're copying and pasting. Avoid hyphens and periods. So for instance, LLC would not be LLC period, it would just be LLC. U.S. government would just be U.S. government, not U.S. government. Suffixes like junior and senior and the third should go into the last name field at the end after you've typed in the last name. When adding P.O. boxes to an address, make sure that that P.O. box goes in the street number field. For companies, only put in business-specific information, no personal information. For contacts, use individual contact information. When it comes to companies, each company contact has to have a mailing address, and that mailing address should have the main checkbox marked so that it can be used properly for reports and other documents generated by the system going forward. Contractors must have the proper certifications already on file in order to use the contractor contact type. And finally, when it comes to associating ownership information in the system, make sure you use trust or co-owner as the first names and then the full trust or co-owner information as the last name. If you've got any questions about anything having to do with Energov, you can contact either Christy Marsala or Archana Chapada, or send an email to changeagent@carlsbadca.gov. This concludes today's training. Thank you and have a great day.